Yes, folks, it's Thursday. I'm Fred McMurray. It's 2 p.m. Pacific, which means this must be...
Welcome to Pillars of Franchising. Happy Friday Eve, and it's St. Patrick's Day.
It is. Do you know, I forgot completely about that. I am not wearing anything green.
It's just as well. Do you know what happened? I had on a green shirt, and guess what I was told?
What?
I had to go change because when I wore green with a green screen.
That's right. I did wear a green shirt one time, and you couldn't see anything except my head.
Yeah. So I'm back into my Molly Maid pink, which is totally fine. So here we are. I do have on avocado earrings, which you probably can't see because those are green. But
I'm just wishing I had a green beer, because then I could drink it. No one would know.
That is a great idea. Why did I not think of that?
I know.
Well,
I should have planned.
Nonetheless, to all of our Irish friends out there, happy St. Patrick's Day.
St. Patty's.
I am glad to live in the city of Chicago, where every year we get to watch them dye the river green. I don't know. I'm told that it's not bad for the environment, so let's pretend, but I would never eat a fish out of that river after it's been dyed green. My
son actually got to go up there for a St. Patrick's Day parade when he was in high school with his band, so he got to see the Green River. It was very exciting.
Yeah. So, hey, let's talk about word on the street. Hot topic for everybody right now. Mm-hmm. And that topic happens to be over hiring.
Yeah, we've been talking a lot about it on the show, and Karen is actually, if you are a franchisee and you would like to come to our Lunch and Learn tomorrow at noon, look on our social media. There are all kinds of ways to sign up to come to, and LinkedIn has a sign up form. But she's going to be talking about how to find the right people for the right roles at the right times. And this is kind of a little preview to that, because there's an article on the IFA website about how you can increase your applicant traffic, which everybody right now is trying to do.
Oh my gosh, as you know, my whole morning was spent talking about how do we utilize social media just to get the word out, because that's where so much time seems to be spent. And you know, one of the big things on here on this list is to advertise jobs on social media. And they say 79% of job seekers use social media to search for jobs. And 73% of them between 18 and 34 found their last position via social media.
Yeah. Well, and you know, people are doing a lot of creative and innovative things on social media. We've interviewed Mandy Rowe from True Rest Float Spa. She's built quite the TikTok following and Instagram following on her personal account, but she uses it for work. And she just randomly mentioned that she was looking for someone at a certain location and hired someone because she mentioned it on TikTok. So then she decided that she was going to do a lot more recruiting on TikTok. So even on platforms like that you think of as being younger generational and not as substantive, are turning out to be places where you can find people.
Well, you know, as I was telling you earlier today, when we talked about doing some of these for my Molly Maid business, first of all, let me say, I think that it is amazing for a franchisor, first of all, to recognize that. And now she can do it across, not just for one location, but for many. And when you use the power of a national marketing committee or national marketing fund to do that, and send a big consistent message, there are just so many more resources you have to do something great. I think that's fantastic. And Mandy is a great lady. Secondly, some of the data that you and I talked about today is that 60% of those TikTok users are between the age of 20 and 49.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the age range has broadened. So what happens is us older people stick to what we know, which is Facebook. We are more familiar with Twitter and LinkedIn. But as platforms grow, they broaden in their reach. So the audiences are becoming older on Instagram and TikTok, because that's where you're finding, like, some of these QSRs that hire a lot of teenagers are going to find them there in those places. So you have to go where your audience is and who you're trying to reach. So you can't discount that TikTok is just for, 16-year-olds.
That's right. That's right. And one of the other things is to rethink your job requirements. And I'll tell you, one of those things, our guest brought up a point that I will reiterate when we interview him today, but rethinking your job requirements for me and my business, we could choose to work weekends, but we choose not to. We could work evenings, but we choose not to. And so I think that when you're looking at, as a business owner, and you're looking at hiring people today, the workforce has spoken very loudly that they're looking for something more than a paycheck. And they're not looking to sacrifice all of their free time working. Mm-hmm. So that might be something that people need to consider.
Yeah, I mean, making your work schedule and workload palatable for people is certainly important right now. Another thing that the IFA article talked about was making your application process convenient. It needs to be quick, it needs to be streamlined, and it needs to be done for your phone. You need to optimize it for your mobile, because everybody's doing everything on their phone these days. And if you have to go to the computer, you're going to lose some people.
Well, and that's so true, because think of how many people don't have computers at home, or like my kids, they have their iPads for school, right? And they're not really supposed to be out there, looking around for jobs and stuff, but they live by their phones. And I have a computer here at work. I have a computer at home, but a lot of what I'm doing, I want to do it while I'm waiting in the parking lot to pick them up. I want to do it while I'm, somewhere waiting. And man, do I get mad if I can't access it on my mobile. Yeah. So we're doing ourselves.
Well, and if you're not in a city like Chicago, where I live, Savannah Fort, there are pockets of rural areas. Like I can drive 2 minutes and see cows and horses, and then I can be 2 minutes more and I'm at the mall. Sure. So we do have some broadband access issues. And people don't always remember that there are still places that people need to work that don't have the access that most of us have. So 75% of hourly job seekers are looking on their phones to apply. And I actually have a little story. There was a little boy around here who had been kicked out of his home because he was LGBTQ, but he had a phone, but he didn't have a computer. He didn't have access to internet. He probably had limited data. But he worked at Domino's, and he was a hardworking kid just trying to make his way completely on his own at 19. For people like him and people who struggle to make ends meet, computers are an issue. So making sure he did have a phone, you have to be able to call into work and to find jobs and all those things. So I think that's something important to remember when you're looking at hourly workers, that you have to really be where they can find you.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing that they talked about is making sure that you advertise your open positions in store. So if whether that's a restaurant or an actual storefront, make sure that people who are shopping there also see that you are hiring, and make sure, this is a really big one. And I don't know that everybody understands. Certainly if you're the business owner, you understand what a dire situation we're in looking for help. And you understand how if you don't have the help, you can't service your clients. But for the hiring managers and such, being able to make that call, reach out, make that contact, and getting people in and hired, get that hook right away is so critical, because if you don't call them, 2 other companies already have. And so you can't sit around and let those applications collect even a bit of dust, because if you do, they're gone. Yeah. They get multiple offers right away, and they will be gone super fast.
Well, and I have seen more businesses advertising in store and in the drive-through. We actually went through the Taco Bell drive-through today, and there was a QR code outside that said, "We're hiring now," and then it had text, 21010 whatever to this number. here's the QR code and you can scan and it'll go right to a job application. So I think that's becoming more and more prevalent, where they're just trying to make it with a click of a button that you can get straight to their careers pages.
Yep, absolutely. And for companies that are out there and you own multiple locations, if you can take advantage of applicant pooling, that's great. So again, your location, Elizabeth, is very different than mine. I'm in Chicago, big metropolitan area. But if somebody applies to my location, they could also be applying to 5 other locations that are very drivable. So again, we use a co-op here. It's great. Use your neighbors. You may even be able to use not a competitor per se, but a like business that you could share applicants for. Hey, they don't work for my business, but maybe they work for Shawn's business, right? So things like that, really, we're just kind of working towards the common good and trying to get more people back to work. So
absolutely.
Again, this week we have your word on the street. And again, it's all about making sure that we are using the tips for increasing franchise applicant traffic, and there'll be more available with Karen tomorrow, right?
Yep, she's got some great stuff. I'm excited about it. We've got a good sign up going. So if you're interested, go on our LinkedIn and sign up on our event there.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. So speaking of Taco Bell and other Yum brands, we've got a great guest today. I love his story. It's very inspiring. His name is Shawn Shariff. He's a first-generation immigrant from Pakistan. With no money in his pocket, he set out to come to America, where he had no family, no friends, no business connections. Through hard work and perseverance, at the age of 17, he got a job at a local KFC in San Fernando Valley. With no previous higher level education, he worked hard, worked at that KFC, learned the ropes of the restaurant business. And then it harkens back to his grandfather, who was a restaurant owner in Pakistan, and Shawn decided that he wanted to continue that legacy. So after 35 years of hard work and dedication, and definitely with some struggles, he is now the proud owner of KFC, Pizza Hut, Taco Bell, and Habit Burger, a lot of which are in the Universal Studios in California, along with some KFCs scattered along Southern California. So Shawn, welcome to the show. We can't wait to talk to you about your story.
Oh my gosh, yum, yum, yum. That's all I can say. Even though it's Yum brands, right? I mean, you have some really, no pun intended, but delicious brands that everybody knows.
Exactly. Everybody in the world. They know the Colonel face, they know the pizza box, they know the Bell from Taco, and then the Habit Burger.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us, I mean, your journey, one of the opening lines I read back in August when they wrote the article for you in, I think it's Franchise Times, was that your first job was working 50 to 60 hours a week, and you kind of were getting tired. So you switched over to an insurance company, working 9 to 5. And then you realized like you had nothing to do in the evenings. So you had to go find a second job.
Like Elon Musk has said, and I quote, you can't change the world in a 40-hour work week.
Yeah.
So when I was working at KFC, it's like I was young, my friends want to go out on weekends, and I'm like, oh, I can't, I'm working till 10. And then, 17, 18 years old, you're still going to go out.
Yeah.
And, and then it was kind of like, okay, man, you know what? This is too much work. I need to do something. And I got a job at an insurance company, and I worked there for a month, and I'm like, dude, this is boring. It's 5:30. I'm done.
Yeah.
What do I do?
Yeah.
So a friend of mine said, hey, go work at Domino's, man. They pay you hourly, plus they pay you gas and everything. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? There's no such thing as paying for gas. He goes, yeah. This is back in like the mid 80s.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of surprised you don't have a Domino's in your portfolio right now.
Yes, exactly. I kind of like grandfathered into the Pizza Hut when I took over Yum.
Yeah. So tell me, what is it like having 4 different brands, but all under one umbrella, under Yum Brands?
It sounds difficult, but it's very easy. I have the KFC and the Pizza Hut and Taco Bell for 10 plus years now. Habit is a new addition. We just started March 1st last year.
Okay.
But very good people, since it's under one umbrella. It's still like a company on its own. So you deal with different franchise coaches and market coaches, but everybody knows everybody, and they're very helpful. They're always there. You call them, they'll pick up your call. You need them, they'll come over if they need any help, any questions. They do their yearly visits, and even beside that, they're always like, hey, do you need some help? Can we come over?
Sure.
Walk around with you, see if you need any help or anything to enhance your service, or get some customers in your store. And the thought of when you deal with a company like Yum Brand, they have unlimited amount of money to support their franchisees and knowledge, and it's like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point. Tell me, how did Yum Brands support their franchisees during COVID? Because those were some tough times for some locations and some brands. As we kind of talked about before the call, some places did really great with drive-throughs, some that don't have drive-throughs, not so much, and depending on which state you were in. Can you tell us a little about what Yum did for the franchisees?
Yeah, so I can speak like as far as the business goes, I can speak for Los Angeles and California. But as far as Yum, when the COVID started, like the first month or so, nobody knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
We had to, like, the three of my stores, like I said, it's a Universal, it's a KFC and a Pizza Hut. It's like a dual brand. And the next to it is a Taco Bell. And then one door over is Habit Burger. Well, it wasn't opened in March 2020 when COVID happened. We had barely shook hands, and we were gonna sign the franchise agreement and the lease, and once it was going to be built, we were going to open before the Halloween Horror Nights, which is around end of September.
Right.
That's when our busy season starts after summer. So COVID happened, and the two restaurants, the Taco Bell and the KFC Pizza had to be closed because LA County closed the park, and park was closed, the city walk was closed, and we had to be closed. And riots happened and all that stuff. And
that's right.
Yeah. The good thing that Yum came and said, hey, look, you know what? It's going to be tough, but nobody knew that QSR is going to flourish like crazy.
Right.
It's a sit-down restaurant that got hurt. So right away they said, look, hey, don't worry about paying royalties. We'll worry about it later. And a month later, the business was booming, but they never came back and said, hey, hold on, now you're making money, you got to pay.
Yeah.
Not asked once. And I was like, on my just two stores, I took the advantage of it, and took a break for a couple of months, and I ended up paying them. But they were very supportive of it. They didn't like call me and say, hey, can you send us some money now you're open, or
right,
things like that. And everybody was like working from home, like the market coach and area coaches and stuff, and they'll constantly get on a Zoom call with you and tell you if you need anything, or national KFC calls and Taco Bell. There was one going on every week. They were updating you, hey, this state is doing this, you should do that, or
excellent.
California is doing this and they should do that. Taco Bell is doing this, so KFC should do that. I mean, there was a lot of like I wouldn't say back and forth, but passing of information within the system.
Sure. I think that's great, right? Having the multiple brands so you can share the information across brands, like you say.
Yeah. And then that was like, I've been in the system for around 20 years and always felt it was a good thing. But like, sometimes you see it and it's like, wow, okay, you know what? This is it. And all the information that was flowing in the support from Yum, I'm like, you know what? I think I made the right decision. Even like, I don't know, just hard to explain, but it was really good.
Sure. So now we earlier talked about some of the challenges in hiring, and obviously you have a very challenging marketplace to find help in terms of quick serve, usually younger, usually transient people coming and going in terms of the longevity in which they stay. What do you do to help find and keep help in your restaurants?
So one of the restaurants that I have in Oceanside, it wasn't as problematic. I bought the restaurant about 3 years ago, and pretty much everybody that had worked there still works with me. The manager's been there, 30 years. Great team, great crew. Try to get new people, it was kind of hard. But throughout the company, we had issues hiring people. Keeping it wasn't, there, people will leave you for 25 cents, 50 cents. And what it really hurts is like, they will not come and tell you, hey, Shawn, you know what? Or to my manager, hey, look, the guy down the street is going to pay me 25 cents more.
Right.
And, you want to pay me that? I'll stay. They'll just won't even come to work. They're like, oh, I already got another job. Come on, you could just ask, right? Retaining it, it's everybody knows in the QSR business, every dollar counts, every point counts in percentage. So if I were to give a 50-cent raise to each employees, and you got like 20 employees, and now you're paying 50 cents, which is fine, but they're not getting 50 cents. They're probably only getting like 30 cents out of it. Because you have to pay payroll taxes, you got to pay workers' comp insurance. And it never ends there. So what we did is like, okay, fine, we're gonna pay you a little bit more. But at the same time, what we did is a few months in a row, we would go to Walmart and buy Walmart gift cards for like $25 to $50. And every month I'll walk in there and I say, hey, you know what? Thank you for your hard work.
Nice.
You're supposed to work this much, but now you're working this much, appreciate your hard work, stuff like that. Or tell them, hey, you know what, go to the Pizza Hut and, get yourself a free meal, or tell Pizza Hut people to go to Taco Bell and get a free meal today, or, vice versa, stuff like that.
Awesome.
So yeah, we did that. And, when we have franchise calls for the local KFCs in Southern California, everybody would share, their stuff, and somebody will give him, like I said, gift cards, somebody will do raffles, and somebody will do meal coupons, or, stuff like that. So
it sounds to me like you're doing a great job of building a culture there, that people, once they get hooked, they don't want to leave you.
Yeah, that's definitely you hit the point right there. But again, a lot of people, sometimes some people like, you know what, I don't need a card, I need 25 cents more. And like I said, somebody offer them another job and they'll go. Yeah. And some of them they end up coming back because they didn't like it, or they only gave me 15 hours instead of you were giving me 30 hours a week,
That's right.
Like that. When you're dealing with teenagers or younger generation people, they don't look at the bigger picture. They just see, okay, what am I getting today?
Sure.
And me being in their shoes years ago, at this point, it kind of concerns me that what's going to happen 20 or 30 years from now when they're older, and they don't have a habit of sticking to something that could really take him to the next level, the level after that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I think that's what's interesting with the franchise model. Sometimes if you have the right franchise owner, you can shed a light to some of those young people about, look what you can do within these systems, right? And grow within the business. Elizabeth, I'm sorry, I thought I saw you on.
Yeah, well, I wanted to dig a little deeper on that point, that you came up through the system. You've been where these teenagers are when you were a teenager and worked your way up. So I have two points. One is, what lessons did you learn from being in their shoes that can help you navigate some of this that you're talking about? And also, when in that process did you decide that your goal was going to be to own these franchise locations?
Well, one thing I would tell everybody, that if you want to be successful in life, you got to set your priorities. You can't just call in sick when you're scheduled to work and your friend comes, hey, let's go hang out, and you call in sick. We didn't have that. Yeah. In the 80s, there were the laws are different, the rules are different. You call somebody, say, hey, I'm not going to come to work today, or you're supposed to start like in an hour. The owner will tell you, hey, if you're not coming today, don't come back to work.
Yep.
Nowadays you can't, you will get sued. And so what with these, a lot of things have changed over the years, and the younger generation needs to understand that, hey, look, your education is very important, but you got to be street smart at the same time. I have friends, their kids are graduate from Ivy League and have no clue what to do.
Yep.
And my managers are making more money than them with no education. I mean, it's it doesn't matter what you do in life. Hard work is important.
Mhm.
You know,
Absolutely.
back in the day, if you're short, you tell your employee, hey, can you work a couple hours extra? Not a problem. We'll never hear a no. Nowadays, oh no, I have a ride. I gotta go. I have plans with my friends. Well, you know what? I don't know what to say. That's worrying me is with these people that 20, I said, 20, 30 years from now, what's going to happen?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Well, I go through that with my
me.
son. My son says, oh no, mom, I want to come and I said, I got these vacuums. They're brand new. They're not dirty. They need to be built and, I'll pay you to do it, blah, blah, blah. Oh, well, yeah, I'll do it. And then the day comes. Okay. We need to go get this thing. Oh, I got hockey.
Mhm.
Okay, well, all right, now then tomorrow, well, oh, I got this. I'm like, okay, listen. So guess what? I hired somebody else, somebody that goes to his school to do it. And now he's like, oh, they took my money. Well, guess what? They're willing to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, so when you initially came, you went right into a franchise model. Your grandfather owned a restaurant in Pakistan. Did you ever consider opening a restaurant that wasn't a franchise?
Always thought about it, but I'm not a chef. I mean, I can take a recipe from, like I said, from KFC and learn how to make chicken and make it.
Yeah.
But am I an inventor? No, I'm not.
Mhm.
I mean, the only thing I know is how to make coffee. I mean, I make the best coffee from Keurig or one of those coffee machines. But
Exactly.
if I can, make a whole meal, probably not. I can barbecue, but
Sure.
I don't know. I can't remember. Somebody said, hey, why invent when you have something, you can just follow it.
Mhm.
That is
Some people will say, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, I mean, I think that's the essence of franchising, right?
Yes. They have the recipe down, they have the procedures down, they have your support, they have the marketing, they have the people to teach you how to control your costs. They have classes, they have workshops, they have sessions. I mean, to me at least, why bother? I have friends, they own restaurants and they've done pretty well, and over the years they have not done so well.
Right.
Brands like KFC or Taco Bell or Pizza Hut or, like you said, Domino's and McDonald's, or these brands are here for years and years, and it'll be here years and years from now. I mean, there are new brands will come. I don't want to name anything, but
yeah,
at the end of the day, these are like the iconic brand of America. They're always going to be here. Like
Yep.
You can take a 2-year-old or 3-year-old and drive them down the street. They're not going to know this pizza or this chicken. They're going to see Colonel and they're going to know KFC, or they're going to see the Golden Arch, McDonald's.
That's right.
Right? They're like,
Yeah.
So, and the reason is that is there's so many smart minds behind these brands to spend the kind of money they can, and to have the knowledge of doing the marketing the right way, and get into every household. Or I mean, you go to another country, like you go to, even when I go to Pakistan, I will go to restaurants over there, but you got to go to McDonald's in Pakistan. Why not? I mean, damn, I'm tired of eating that Pakistani food. And
Yeah.
we do.
Yeah.
Like, I took my kids 4 years ago, and we were in Dubai, and hey, so many good food, but we had to go to Starbucks. We had to go to McDonald's. Come on, that's not one meal at McDonald's.
And were they the same? Did they have their own twist on?
This pretty much 90% they're same. They have a couple items that are on the menu that are there and not here. Like some country, McDonald's will have like pizza
Okay.
on the menu. Same thing with KFC. They have rice bowls in other countries, especially in China.
Okay.
So yeah, they cater to the crowd that's in that country or in that region, and they twist the menu according to that.
Our audience, we were surprised to find that we have a lot of people from other countries that listen to the show. And you touched on a point about some of these franchises being overseas, and obviously you travel as well, and you're from a different country. There are lots of opportunities for people to come to the United States through the E2 visa program and start businesses here with franchises. What kind of advice or feedback or thoughts would you give to people who are listening and considering that path?
I would tell them that invest their money wisely. To get qualified for a brand and buy a restaurant, it's relatively, I would say, easy, but it's not difficult. As long as you have the net worth and the cash to do it, you may not get in LA, you may get like in a small town outside Los Angeles, but to operate that brand, it's no joke. It's not anymore, not like it used to be. The brands have got a lot stricter. 3 or 4 times a year, we have unannounced inspections. Their VOCs, voice of customers. Back in the day, if your meal's not right, they'll come back to your store and apologize, and you get them another food or stuff like that. Now it's like they'll make a call. The call goes to corporate. Then you get an email. Then they'll get a refund. Now you can answer back. Yeah, and there are a lot of good things that come out of it, but at the same time, it's has become difficult. It's not like you go in the morning, you open the door, and your cook comes in and cooks some chicken, and you sat in the front, you sell, and you move on. Health department have got stricter pest control, and like I said, your corporate inspection, city guy will come in, the fire department will come in. Hey, make sure you get your fire extinguisher recharged. Back in the day, nobody cared. Like, not that they didn't care. Those, like I said, times have changed. Well,
and I think that's true with many brands, and part of that is just to protect the franchise models in general, right? Everybody's protective of their brand, but I think that for people who are savvy from a business perspective and they have the ability to invest and they're able to follow a system, and they understand what it is to create a culture of inclusion. A franchise model is probably much easier, I would think, for them to come over than to come and then try to start a business from the ground up.
Oh, definitely.
You
gotta have knowledge about the brand, knowledge about restaurant business. Like, if somebody's from Texas comes to California and wants to open a new restaurant, he's gonna go crazy, because California laws are different as far as construction and ADAs and just like that. Texas is different, Florida is different. And this is just in United States. Imagine somebody comes from Pakistan. And he wants to open a restaurant, and he goes to health department and all these things. He goes, whoa, what the hell is this? You got to have your hot water at 110 degrees. If it's 109, if it's a strict inspector, it'll close you down.
We tell everybody, don't go to California. And Illinois is the second least favorite place. That's where I am, right? Because taxes are high, work comp is high, the government's difficult to deal with. Go anywhere but those 2 states.
I know. So that's the first thing. Go to a state where it's business friendly.
Yes.
And then pick the right brand. I mean, if you feel that the KFC is best for you, hey, might as well go apply, and if you're worthy enough and you have financials, they'll approve you. If you feel that McDonald's, which is hard to get nowadays, but other brand like Domino's, or like you said, Chick-fil-A, work with them for 3 years and they'll put money and they'll give you your own store. There are a lot of brands like that will invest in you. I can't remember, I just saw another ad the other day that you can invest $10,000 and be an owner operator of a franchise, and they'll put the money. It was Steak or Shake or Steak something, I don't know what it was. So
and people can always call us and work with us to help match a brand with their interests, their budgets, and what their long-term goals are too. That's obviously one of the things we do, and we help mentor people. But Shawn, how would somebody get a hold of you? Aside from obviously all your information is going to be posted here on the show, but how would they reach you if they'd like to?
Well, I'm on the LinkedIn. They can contact me through LinkedIn. I can, you can put my email address on your on the link. They can email me, and if I can help in any way, I will. I mean, helping is not bad. It's not an issue. teamwork is very important. You know, I mean, I could do whatever I want, how much money I could spend, but if I don't have people around me to make it happen, then I mean, what is it good for?
That's right. That's right. Well, I really appreciate you being on the show. It is an absolute pleasure speaking with you. And I can't wait to get out there and try some Habit Burger because we
Please.
don't
Please.
we don't have them. And I love burgers.
Oh, once you eat Habit, you'll forget. I mean, trust me.
Excellent. Well, and you know, who doesn't like going out to city walks? So that's amazing. Yeah. So thank you again, Shawn. A wonderful story. Congratulations to you on all your success, and we'll look forward to catching up with you again in the future.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, franchise owners. How's your local marketing? Do you feel like you could use some help keeping up with your social media posts and comments and reviews? Do you wonder if you could be doing more to attract local customers? Are you able to identify new move-ins to your local area? At Westvine, we help franchisees like you reach more local customers through digital marketing. With daily monitoring, creative content, and ad placement, and customer data intelligence, we'll get your business in front of the people who want your products or services. We also work with franchisors who need an agency to handle the digital marketing for all of their locations. If you're ready to reach more local customers, give us a call at 805-265-5440 or visit us at westvine.com. That's 805-265-5440 or westvine.com.
Hey, Karen, what's going on?
Hello, David.
That was a fascinating interview with Shawn. Holy smokes. If anybody listening and they're part of the Great Resignation, if that doesn't ignite them to say, hey, this guy came all the way from Pakistan, didn't have a single connection anywhere. And now look at him. If someone's afraid to do something after listening to that story, then they're just holding themselves back.
Totally agree. And I was thinking about, I was seeing some, I don't have the stat right in front of me, but where a lot of people are saying, the Great Resignation, everyone talks about it, and all these, especially I think the people that are in their younger years, I don't know what you want to call, high potential people or the young people, and they keep changing jobs and they keep looking for the right job, and they become disenchanted. And so I think that's what's happening where, Shawn was talking about, it's the stick-to-itiveness or whatever, where we would get something right early on and be like, okay, I'm going to stick with this. And it just seems like it's not that way. So I'm hoping it goes back to the other way, where people will stick with the job because they're going to realize by jumping around, it's kind of sort of the same thing.
It's kind of sort of the same thing. That's right. And the thing is again, I'm one of the people that'll say, every generation has said something about the generation behind.
I know.
Right. I mean, my dad, I still remember my dad when I was a kid, kids today don't want to work. And I'm sitting there going, we're busting our butt. But so every generation has that viewpoint. So I'm not saying it's totally bad. I think it's just like this. We have to adapt to this generation because they're the largest population in the country, in the world right now. And I'm not saying they're totally wrong. If they're doing it for the purpose of, hey, I want to really find out what I want to do in my life, cool, go do it.
Absolutely.
But there is that little bit of stick-to-itiveness to say, hey, okay, now layer in the other things of doing things the right way, and maybe that person who you're working for can help you find a new path. And if you don't create and explore those connections with people who are already in your life, even if it's a manager or owner, I'm sure after listening to Shawn, hey, if somebody says, hey, tell me your story, I want to do what you did, Shawn's going to go, cool, let's sit down and create a path for you.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I've been thinking a lot about is this, if you call it the Great Resignation, it's a two-way street.
Yes.
We all own it, right? It's the business owners, franchise owners, we own a part of it, and really kind of instilling in the employee, they own a part of it too. So it really is a two-way street, and having more of that conversation versus everyone's leaving. So
yeah, and that's a good point. And I know this we're going to talk about anyways, but it's a layer of stress that we're going to talk about here
Yes.
that can go away if it's handled properly. And that situation, I mean, now the manager's stressed, that the other members of the crew have stress because now all of a sudden they're shorthanded. The owner's wondering, now we got to go spend some more money, try to find some more people to come in. And meanwhile, and that person who left not only is creating that kind of stress within the business, but they're incurring that in themselves too, because now they're going and learning, have to adapt to a whole new environment, a whole new business, a whole new situation. It's kind of silly when you think about it.
Absolutely. I was reading the other day that the study, there's always studies, but there's a study that really in 2022, and nearly half of the adults in the US had talked about how stress had negatively affected their behavior. And it was talking about personally and professionally. I thought, I was surprised it was 50%. I thought it'd be more like 80% because so many people, I think they're so stressed now. And you're right, in the work environment, when you have that stress, and then if you don't handle it well, that's where people start feeding off of it. And it just really creates a very negative environment, which then causes people to leave, A, and then B, it causes the franchise owner a lot of, when you think about it, the impact of it is they're irritable. Sometimes that's me. It's irritable.
Mm-hmm.
It's sick. If you think about just fatigue, all the physical parts of it, which can lead to even much more life-threatening, impact as well. And I think sometimes as we're going through having the stress and how we're dealing with it, we're not thinking about all of those effects and how much it can impact us, our health, our businesses.
Karen, that's an excellent point. But while you were saying that, I was thinking in the back of my mind, they call stress the silent killer.
Yes.
Right? How many people are experiencing stress and don't even realize it?
Absolutely. Because we're so busy, right? We're so busy with, oh my gosh, it's COVID. Oh no, now it's the Ukraine. Now it's inflation. We go from one thing to the next thing, and all the impact. You're right. And I think people don't stop and think about it many times until they have something that happens. and they're like, okay, whoa, I need to get a check on this.
Yeah. And sometimes they're experiencing stress, and because they are so accustomed to it, they don't realize the warning signs. And I'll speak from personal experience. When I left my corporate job years and years and years ago to start my own business, I didn't realize it, but I had this tightness in my neck on the back, and I just thought that was normal. So no big deal. I couldn't really move my neck, but there's this tightness here all the time. And when I put in my 6-month resignation or whatever letter, and I came back after I turned that in and sat at my desk, I realized all that tension was gone from my neck. And so I sit there and I always think about that when they say the silent killer. I always think about, I was learning to live with that stress, that incongruence in my body. Who knows what other impact it had or might have continued to have if I wouldn't have made that change. So I think in a lot of cases, if to that study's point, there's a lot of people roaming around out there that don't realize the stress they're under.
Absolutely. And I've been spending a lot of my time over the past couple of years working with people, educating them on how to deal with stress, because sometimes, people think stress is negative, and a lot of times it is negative, but how we handle it, we can actually turn it into positive. And because if there's a positive stress with our mindset and how we handle it, it can be good. It can be productive. You can be creative with it because you can kind of turn it around. And there's certain techniques and certain things that we all can do to also reduce that negative stress.
That's interesting. Shawn, go right ahead.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about stress, and yes, as a business owner, as adults, we have these stress. But beyond that business stress, we have the stress of our family.
Yes.
Kids are growing up. Are they going to make it in life? I mean, are they going to go to college? What college are you going to go? How much tuition are you going to be able to help them out with? What kind of loans they're going to get? My daughter just came back from Baylor. 4 years she was in Texas. I mean, we were worried, like, would something happen to her? Those those additional stress, it's not easy. Once they're done with college, okay, now what? Is she going to go for master's? Is she going to go to med school? Where is she going to go? She's going to go local. She's going to Caribbean. I got 2 more kids, so where are they going to go? You got to take AP classes, you got college classes. It's like
on and on and on.
Story for us, and they said, no, Dad, don't worry. I said, no, I have to worry, because what if I'm not there tomorrow? What if something happens? What are you going to do?
Yeah, that's true. That's
So-
true.
That's a good point.
It's hits at home when you talk about stress, it's like, and everybody has like these stress. Somebody takes it, to the next level and be more worried. Some parents like, yeah, it will happen, but it's there.
It is. So
It's
how
there.
about if I give you a few ideas? I can help.
Karen, that's I was just going to say, Karen, how do you take that stress and turn it into something positive?
I have, there's so many, because I think, and it really depends upon who you are on which method, but I'm going to share with you 3 of my favorites, because
Perfect.
it's funny, David, I actually ended up almost in the hospital. I was flat on my back about 20 years ago.
Wow.
Long story, but I ended up where I was not handling my stress well and had a kind of a life-threatening moment. And so that's when I'm like, I need to get a grip on this. This is crazy. So a few things. One would be very simple, and it does work. Have you heard of box breathing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I have.
That's a simple one, but that's one when a lot of times when I get in a moment where, because I'm type A, I'm working, I'm moving, if something happens where it can kind of tick me off, I stop. And box breathing is where you literally breathe out, count to 4, breathe in, count to 4, breathe out, count to 4. Okay, now that sounds really silly, but if you try it, what it does is it gets you out of that your emotional brain. It gets you back more in your logical brain, and you can actually feel like the whole mind-body connection. It's kind of crazy. And that's one of the things that I'll do a lot of times if I get myself kind of whipped out, and I'll just stop and go, okay, breathe.
Karen,
So
that's an
that's-
excellent tool. I've used that. I've used it in a little different area where I've inhaled for X number of seconds, held for the same amount of seconds, exhaled same amount of seconds,
Yes.
held again. So, really creating a box, but either
Yes.
way, everybody has some different techniques, but that's an excellent one. I highly recommend that one for sure.
And then Shawn, you were talking about the whole worry, because I'm the same way. Oh my gosh, you started talking about it. I could feel my blood pressure going up, especially with the kids. And their problems get bigger, don't they, as they get older? They really do. And when I think about franchise owners, that they're new franchisees, even before that, you're making all these decisions, right? And there's all this stuff in your head. And so one of the things, it's the worry, where we're worrying. So one of the things that another technique, and it's actually a technique that is in Dale Carnegie's book, How to Stop Worrying and Stop Living. So anybody that really is a big worrier, it's a great book. And one of the things, it's about the worry, and it talks about conquering it, and it's writing it down. Actually, there's something about physically writing it down. What am I worried about? So you take your kids. What am I worried about? What can I do about it? Which a lot of times isn't very much, right? And then, but it is about then, what can I do about this? And then decide what you can do about it, and then make that decision. Because what happens with the worry, it just keeps swirling around in our brains, and it doesn't go anywhere except just cause more and more stress.
That's awesome. That probably brings into focus the old, if you can't control it, don't worry about it. I mean, and when you write it down, that kind of hits you right in the face.
It does something to your brain. So yes. And then one last one, I love it, is the date type compartments, and living your life in date compartments, because we get, and again, if you have a lot on your plate, especially franchisees, there's hiring people, keeping people, you've got this life of all these different things happening. How can I get it all done? And then you start worrying about the future. And so living in date type compartments is, don't worry about the past. And even though you need to prepare for the future, focus a lot on today and what you can do today for the very best. This just happened to me in the middle of the night last night. I have a lot going on right now. I missed last week due to my mom's illness. And so I had a lot. And I'm like, okay, all this stuff was swirling around. And I thought, okay, what can I do right now? What are the key things I'm going to do, today that can get me through it? And it's amazing how that really does also de-stress me as well, because then I'm just looking at that moment in time and knowing, okay, well, the rest of the stuff's going to have to wait. So that's another thing that I found by living in day tight compartments works really well for me as well.
Awesome. So to wrap up, to summarize, three good keys Karen laid on us, right? Box breathing, find what works for you and what time lengths, et cetera, et cetera. Living in day type compartments was number 3. And number 2, though, was the one that was interesting. I know you would love to spend more time on it. And that is writing down the things that you're worried about and all the benefits from that. But for lack of time, those of you that are listening, explore it further with Karen. But those are 3 great techniques that can help you start to eliminate stress from your life. So thank you very much, Karen. That was awesome.
Thank you. Thanks.
Great advice from Karen. We are all dealing with a lot of stress these days, and it never seems to end. So stopping and taking some time to reflect and employ those techniques is going to be very helpful. We want to thank her as usual, and also give her another mention for her Lunch and Learn tomorrow. So you're a franchisee, now what? Is the title, and we are going to be talking about how to find the right people and put them in the right roles at the right times in your business. And she'll have some meaty, helpful information. We also want to thank our 2 sponsors, the Titus Center for Franchising and the Franchise Show 247 for their sponsorship and their contributions. Also check out articles from them in the magazine. Up next, we're going to get some updates on David and his the Joint Chiropractic opening, which is coming up pretty quickly.
Woohoo! David.
Wow, what's happening?
Box breathing.
It's awesome. It's great.
Yeah. You know, I'll tell you, even sometimes just doing some meditative breathing is like, okay, I find myself doing it more and more as Shawn said, with a daughter going off to college and 2 more boys that some days they're checked in and some days they're really not, you know, things get a little bit crazy. So I appreciate those tips that the 2 of you gave, because I'm sure to use those every single day.
Yeah.
So let's talk about stress. Okay, so here you are, you're between Ohio and Florida, and you're opening the Joint Chiropractic under construction amidst the pandemic, amidst chaos in getting supplies in the state of Michigan. Like
in Michigan. Yeah. No, because I don't want to do anything easy, and because it'd be different, right?
Yeah.
So I ran into my my old business partner. We saw him over the last couple of weeks, and somebody asked me, so what's Dave doing now? And he goes, man, he's opening up another business. It's in his DNA. He's never going to stop. So they had a good laugh over that. But here's the thing. It's a great opportunity, and you have to go in with your eyes open to know that, as I've said before, everything is going to cost more than you think it's going to cost. It's going to take longer than you think it's going to take, and it's not going to be easy, because if it was easy, everybody else would have already been doing it. And so are we running into some troubles? Yes. So this is good for the listeners. I mean, yes, we bought a franchise. Yes, there's policies and there's procedures and there's everything set up. It doesn't mean it's going to go smooth.
That's right.
So roll back. I mean, this is still, I started exploring 14 months ago. We're still not open. So for those of you looking for a business, this is going to take time. Understand it doesn't happen overnight. Now, some could, if you're not doing a brick and mortar. But so by the time we signed a contract, and by the time we're moving forward, and now took us some time to get a contractor. Now it took us some time to get permitting. Now we're in the construction phase. Awesome. This is where it's totally different for me now. We've been interviewing chiropractors. Well, we finally just hired a part-time one, but we can't open until we get a full-time one. And I've interviewed some for full-time positions. And when I ran the restaurants, if people applied and interviewed for the job, I assumed like they wanted the job if I offered it to them. Well, this is a whole different deal. This is waiting 3 weeks, going back and forth, going, yeah, I've changed your mind. Don't really want to take the job. I'm like, holy cow. And we only have a couple of positions. So if I'm waiting on a contract, which just happened to us, and they decide to drag it out for 3 weeks, and it seems very congenial at the time and cordial and everything's moving in the right direction, and then they say, I'm going to stay where I'm at. Now the clock starts ticking again. So Our target was April 1st. We're not going to hit that.
Okay.
Because let's face it, it's St. Patrick's Day, right?
Yeah.
So that's 2 weeks away. It's going to take us, even if someone applied today, by the time we go through it a couple weeks, by the time we go through some training and go through the rest of the build out, we're going to be past it. So a word of caution to everybody listening. Will I pay my 3rd month of rent April 1st? Yes.
Yeah.
And there's no revenue coming in, but you have to do it. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not stressing it. If 28 years ago, I would have been out of my mind,
Yeah.
which I was, because we opened 4 months later in my original business. But now I understand it. So it doesn't stress me as much. And I've prepared for it financially to make sure,
Right.
well, if we open late, do I have enough money to pay the rent?
Right.
So it's going to happen, and you can't stress it, because if you do it right, you're not going to miss those 2, 4, 6 weeks anyways.
Yeah. So David,
But if
did
you rush
find,
it, it could be bad.
did you find that you kind of had to go from, kind of plan backwards? Okay, so if I want to open on this day and it takes 4 weeks of training, and it takes me 2 weeks to hire, you kind of have to work backwards, right?
Yeah, you sure do. But in this case, it was a little bit unique because we're a membership-based model. So there's, we want to, if I was opening up a restaurant, we can start putting a coming soon, and
Right.
get everybody excited. And we open doors. With this, we're one of our marketing campaigns is come in and get a free exam adjustment, so we don't want to market it too early. And then all of a sudden they're like 2 months later going, when's this place ever going to open?
Yeah.
So, but we can't time it up until we get the chiropractor on board and trained. So it's kind of a unique business model, which everyone's going to be, but
Yeah.
it was a good learning experience for me. But again, we go back to the stress and it could really affect me if I didn't know what was coming.
Sure.
And that's why I love that we're doing this segment for the people who are listening to know, if this happens to you, it's not a franchisor's fault. It's nobody's fault. It just happens, right? Stuff happens, as they say. So,
Absolutely.
but you don't give up. You don't get discouraged. You keep doing the right thing, and everything will work out. I mean, I'm thoroughly confident of it. And I don't think 10, 15 years from now, I'm going to sit there and go, boy, if only we would have opened up 3 weeks earlier, right on time, everything would have been better. It's silly to even think that way. So to Karen's point, if you're worrying about it, if you're stressed out, write it down. And if there's nothing you can do about it, let it go.
Yeah, absolutely. Your circles of influence, right?
Absolutely. Exactly
Well,
right.
I think I'm really glad that we decided to have you, and that you agreed to share this with us, because I think that there are a lot of folks out there, one of which we know, Jackie Stiles is out there, and she's getting her next gen fitness model going. And, she's had bumps in the road too, and higher prices and delays in construction and all kinds of different things that happen. And so for people who are in, those shoes right now, just remain calm and, listen, it's frustrating, yes, but it's nothing to go crazy over, because it will come.
If you
Our
believe in
corporate
if you believe in the business model, if you believe in the franchise, if you believe in yourself to lead a team to high performance, it really doesn't matter when you open.
Yeah. Shawn, I see that you have a comment. Go ahead.
Yeah, our corporate is telling us that on the new builds, add at least 30 to 40% more in the cost.
Yeah, I could see that.
And time. Nowadays, like the leases that we're negotiating right now is we're telling the landlord to give us, normally they'll give you 90 days or 120 days from the day you sign the lease. Now we're saying, okay, we'll take 6 months from the time we get our permits, because once you get your plans done, you don't know how long it's going to take at the city.
Yeah.
County, they're out 8 to 12 weeks.
Sure. And some of the places where you get your equipment, that stuff could be on a boat for a while.
Yeah, one of our very good franchise partners, they're opening a new KFC in Barstow. The whole restaurant is ready, except they can't get some of the electrical components for the building. And it could have been open in November, but she can't open till April or May because can't put the electrical panels in there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Units, different issues. So suggestion to everybody, negotiate with the landlord.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
they know the issues that are going on.
Yep. So everybody out there, you just have to be patient. As David said, believe in the model you have and know that in the end, it will all work out, and no reason to freak out, but you have to be ready for it. So,
And maybe next week, if I'm up there, and we'll shoot from location, you can see all the stacked up boxes and construction dust. So you know exactly what you're getting into.
yeah, that would be awesome. David, thank you again. Shawn,
You're
we
welcome.
appreciate your input on all this stuff, because it doesn't matter the industry, we're all in this together. So we appreciate your feedback. Again, we want to thank all of you for joining us on the show today, especially our guest, Shawn Shariff with Yum Brands. Please be sure to like, share, and comment on this episode. Thank you, as always, to Laura List with Brand Law, and as always, thank you to Ray Pillar, David Kajanik, and Jerry Akers, our $1 Million mentors, for their insight and wisdom. Thank you to Karen Kimsey Sword with Dale Carnegie. I'm Kristin Selmeczy, your 4th $1 Million mentor, and together we are your resource for franchising success. This has been Pillars of Franchising, and your dream starts here.
Pillars of